Welcome back, guys. We are continuing on with these brilliant app logic puzzles, and things are getting incredibly tough. The last one was just really, really tough, and this one, Jokers, does not sound nice at all. Sometimes the best way to reach a conclusion is eliminating cases until only one remains. In this lesson, you might find yourself falling back on that strategy as the number of possible solutions grows. Marv is now patrolling the park on a mission to separate the androids from the humans. As before, he expects that androids always lie and humans always tell the truth. Then he hears something strange from a nearby booth. I am an android. Which being could say I am an android? Well, that's what I expected. A joker. Okay, so a human couldn't say I am an android because he's a human. And an android couldn't say I am an android because he would lie and say he's a human. So nobody could say I am an android apart from someone who isn't an android or a human, which is our friend here, the Joker. Okay. This being can't be a human employee or an android, they must be something else. Security robots quickly lead the being away. They claim they are on top of the problem, but beings are acting strangely all over the park. Marv is determined to figure out what's going on before closing time. Okay. Apparently there's a third kind of being in the park. Now the rules are these. Humans always lie. Always lie. Humans always tell the truth. Androids always lie. Jokers can do either. Could Jokers be malfunctioning androids? Bored human bystanders? Just trying to mess with Marv? Jokers are going to make things more complex, but Marv determines to get to the bottom of the situation. We'd seen earlier that a being claiming that they're an android is a telltale sign they're a joker. When multiple beings are involved, things get more complicated. You'd better think carefully so you don't make any false identifications. Okay. Taj says we are both jokers. Zara says we are both androids. Right, well, neither of them can be human. So, can you conclude that Zara is a joker? Right, let's have a think about this. Right, I'm thinking about a question that isn't even the question. I'm thinking about whether they could both be androids. So basically, can you conclude that Zara is a joker by saying we are both androids? Well, a human can't say that, and an android in a min. An android would not say we are both androids if Taj is also an android. So you can't say that Zara is definitely a joker, but Zara definitely can be a joker, so Zara may or may not be a joker. Okay, you encounter two more beings. Vic is an android, Uma is a human. Human. A human. Oh dear, I've been playing too much Warhammer. Human. Right, does at least one of these beings have to be a joker? Vic is an android. Uma is a human. Well, let's think about this. Right. The options are there isn't necessarily a Joker among them, and that is fine because if Uma is a human, she would say he is an android, Vic. Oh, in a men. But the android wouldn't say that Uma is a human. So, if Uma is the android, she would lie about. Yeah, so one of them does have to be a Joker then. Because if they were both androids, that wouldn't make sense. And they can't both be either. So, there must be at least one Joker. It's not possible to be sure of these beings' identities from these statements alone. Find one possible set of identities. So one possible set is Joker and android. It can be tricky to figure out who's a Joker, but the process of elimination can help a strategy. Marv can check if they're a human or an android first. If neither, then he knows they must be a Joker. Okay. Now Marv sees 4 beings standing in a line. Is it possible that every one of these beings is a Joker? Well, yeah, Jokers can do whatever they want, so of course it's possible. Jokers aren't bound by any rules. So I can answer that without even reading any of the clues. Find an arrangement with the minimum possible number of Jokers. The minimum possible number of Jokers. Okay. Right, Ash. The beings behind me, Crispina, Doyle, are all androids. Right, so let's say that is true. The beings behind me, Chris and Doyle, are both androids. Right, okay. Right, so let's say that Ash is an android then. The beings behind me are both androids. So I reckon if Doyle is a Joker, everything else will line up fine. Because that one would be a lie. That one would be a lie. That one would be a lie, and the Joker can do whatever they want. Okay, Marv spies Alec and Doyle, moving on to another group of 4 beings. They all stand in a circle and say, "The person on my left isn't an android. The person on my right is an android." Yuri says Alec isn't an android, but Bina is. If Yuri is lying, oh my goodness, I need pen and paper. Right, Yuri says Alec isn't an android, but Bina is an android. Right, let's read this again. Marv spies Alec and Doyle, moving on to another group of 4. So it has to be a group of 4. Yuri says Alec isn't an android. Right, I need pen and paper. Right, bear with me. Bear with me. Right, so there's 4 people. Now, if Yuri says Alec isn't an android, oh, there are so many different possibilities here with Joker being added in. Because Yuri might be any of the 3. She might be telling the truth, she might be lying, she might be able to say whatever she wants because she's a Joker and not be bound by rules. My goodness. Okay. So let's first of all assume that Yuri is human. So right, so let's assume Yuri is human. That would make Alec a Joker or a human. And it would make Bina an android. Right, well, even though there's 4 people, there's only 3 in this question here, so don't know why there's 4 here at the moment. Right, so if Yuri is lying, right, that's if Yuri is lying, then what must be true? See, this is the thing, I keep not reading the question fully. Right, so what I've just written down is irrelevant. So if Yuri is lying, then she's either an android or a Joker. Okay, so that's a good place to start. So if Yuri is lying, that means that Alec is an android. In a minute. Alec isn't an android. So that means that Alec has to be an android. Bina is an android, which means Bina can be either a human or a Joker. So what are the possibilities for answers? Alec is an android, yes. No, not only Alec, because Yuri might be. Only Bina isn't an android. Only Bina isn't an android. Yeah, that is correct. Both Alec is an android and that Bina isn't an android. Yes. Both Alec is an android and Bina isn't an android. That is correct. That Alec is an android and Bina isn't an android. Or both. So it's definitely this one. It's definitely this one. Oh, you are kidding me. What? Alec is an android, Bina isn't an android. Or both. I don't understand the difference. Because this is basically, that is if, that is either or both. And that is both guaranteed. But I don't understand. Oh. Because Yuri might be a joker. Oh, I had not thought about Yuri being a joker. Because if Yuri is a joker, that doesn't rule Bina out from being an android. Because it doesn't mean that they're lying. It means that they can say whatever they want without any rules. Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Okay, okay. Well, at least I figured out why. Okay, okay. A robot comes in and tells Marv that they're sure that Xander is a human. Okay. If Xander is in fact a human, what would that make everybody else? Doyle isn't an android. Can I actually change this? I can. Right, if Xander is a human, what would that make everybody else? Doyle isn't an android. Okay, so Doyle can be either human or Joker. Yuri is an android. So Yuri has to be an android if Xander is a human. Okay. Xander isn't an android, which means Xander is an android. Oh, and so because we know that Xander isn't, or at least we're assuming, that means that this answer is irrelevant because she's already lied about Xander. So that means Chris can be anything. Yuri isn't an android. Well, this doesn't mean anything because we have no clue whether Chris is telling the truth or not. Right. Chris isn't an android. Xander is an android. I mean, again, we don't know because the Joker can say whatever they want. Right. I don't get this. I don't get this at all. I think Yuri is possibly the key here. So let's see if we can figure if there's something going on here. We might be able to identify what Chris is, I don't know. Xander isn't an android, Chris is an android. Does that mean Chris is human? I mean, I don't think so, but what other answer is there? I don't. I'm not happy about this. These jokers change everything. I knew this was going to be tough. Right, I think Doyle has to be a joker because Xander is an android. Is false, so I can select multiple different choices here. And because this statement is impossible to answer, I feel like I need all three of these checked. I don't know. Right, I feel like this is the only Yeah. No. Each being is human, android, or Joker. So it's telling me I have to choose one of the three. Okay. Well, we know that Doyle is an android is not true, because Doyle is a Joker, so it's gotta be, because Yuri isn't an android. Oh, in a minute. Yuri isn't an android. I think either of them can be true. I just feel like either of them can be true, can't they? But it's telling me I have to choose. Yuri isn't an android. Right. So Yuri, maybe these two are not mutually exclusive. Maybe they're individuals. I don't believe that that should be the case. I think in my interpretation, these should not be separated. So Chris is an android should not be a standalone statement. Because if it is a standalone statement, that means Chris can't be an android. But that is the only part of this which actually tells you what Chris is. So I have to take that as being a separate statement, even though it doesn't make sense, because there's an and in there. But that is the only thing that makes sense to me. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, but with that and being there, that makes this particular challenge null and void, in my opinion, because it's impossible to say that this is a lie, that Chris being an android is a lie. Ah, internet's gone down. Bear with me. Right, yeah, so my reasoning is, because Yuri says Xander isn't an android, right, let me have a think about this. Right, okay, I think I understand it now. Xander isn't an android is a truth. So the fact that that is a truth means that Chris is an android has to be a lie. Right, I think I understand it now. Yeah, okay. Right, a captured android explains to Marv that there are no jokers at all. Some beings are now purposely doing the opposite of their normal behavior. Oh, you are kidding me. Rebel humans are now lying. Rebel androids are telling the truth. Oh my goodness gracious me. Marv is rightly skeptical, since the androids he's met so far have all lied. Suppose that some androids are able to tell the truth. This was my worst nightmare come true. Which question should Marv ask an android to see if they are truthful or lying? Right, well, we know that if I asked you, then the android will tell the truth because it's doing the opposite of what it should be doing. It should be lying. So if I asked you makes it tell the truth. So which question should Marv ask an android to see if they are truthful or lying? Oh, wait a second. This is getting them to tell the truth. So getting them to tell the truth about if they're an android or not. They would say, yes, I am an android. Where if they are a human, they would say, no. Which question should Marv ask an android to see if they are truthful or lying? Oh, wait a second. If we've got rebel... Oh, no, I don't think that's part of it. In a minute, if I ask an android if you're an android, they're guaranteed to say no. Where if I ask an android... Yeah, because I know that the answer's guaranteed if I ask this. Aren't they both exactly the same then? I can't see... Which question should you ask an android to see if they are truthful or lying? So if you ask an android, are you an android? He will lie and say no. If you asked an android if they are an android or not, then they would say yes because they would be lying about lying. But that is not asking you to get them to say. In a minute, what is going on here? Right, okay. I think it's to do with this rebel business. Rebel androids. Right, it's this here. Suppose that some androids are able to tell the truth. If you ask an android, are you an android? They have to say no. Unless they're able to tell the truth, in which case they can say yes. Where if you ask them this, they can say yes and have to say yes. Right, I'm not sure. Let me just go through it one more time in my head. I don't see what the difference is between these. That has to say yes, that has to say no. Oh, wait a second. If I asked you, they are able to tell the truth. So they don't have to say, no, it's still the same, isn't it? Oh, no. I think it's Are You an Android? Let's show the explanation to see why. Suppose that some androids are able to tell the truth. Let's see what would happen if you ask an android this question. If I asked you if you're an android, what would you say? If they are truth-telling, then the android would say yes if asked, are you an android? They would then honestly tell you that their answer would be yes if you asked that question. If instead the android was a liar, they would say no if you asked, are you an android? But when you asked if you are an android, what would you say? They would lie and tell you that the answer would be yes. So truthful and lying androids would answer the question. If I asked you if you're an android, what would you say? The same way. That makes it a bad question for telling the difference between the androids. I'm still not quite understanding this. The straightforward question, are you an android, will get you different answers though. A lying android would say no, and a truth-telling android would answer yes. Well, yeah, but this isn't about whether they are lying or truth-telling. This is about being able to tell the truth. So the fact that they are able to tell the truth means that they are effectively a joker. Or is it saying that some androids always tell the truth? That would then make it completely different. That would be an android acting like a human rather than acting like a joker. So I don't agree. I don't agree with this. Because if they're able to tell the truth or lie, because they're an android, then it doesn't matter which one of these two you choose, because they're able to lie or tell the truth anyway. So you should get a random answer, whichever one you ask. I think this able to tell the truth is incorrect. I think it should be, suppose that some androids do tell the truth, rather than are able to tell the truth, or only tell the truth, which would then make them act like a human instead of a joker. That's my opinion on it anyway, and that's what I'm sticking to. I got the answer right, I just don't agree with the forming of the question. Right, Marv decides to track down the rebels and uncover their plans for the park. Many androids and humans are still loyal to the theme park and behave normally. He'll need to make sure he knows someone's a rebel before confronting them. Right, well, yeah, that's the Joker's done, but I don't agree with that final questions form. But yeah, we've got one more test to do, so let's jump straight into it. Right, we're on to the last group of questions for this category. Now, there are two more logic categories, so I don't know how many questions or groups are in them two categories, but this is the final one, so I'm guessing it's going to be the hardest one of this particular category. Okay. Rebellion. While identifying rebels, it's best not to jump to conclusions. Sometimes you will find that there's more than one solution to a riddle about people's identities. Be careful of whom you trust as you try to find out what's going on at this park. Okay. Marv has discovered that the Jokers are actually rebels. Right, okay. Doing the opposite of what their normal behaviour would be as a human or as an android. Marv has no idea what this rebellion is about, but if he is to save the theme park from chaos, he'll have to collect all the rebels and sort them into humans and androids. Well, at least it's not another group of people on top of the Jokers, it's instead of the Jokers, so I'm happy about that. That means there are now 4 types of beings you'll encounter from now on. Loyal humans tell the truth, rebel humans lie, loyal androids lie, rebel androids tell the truth. Okay. Which of these claims is impossible for a being to make? I am a loyal human. It's got to be I am a loyal android, surely. Inamin, a lying human, a rebel human can say that. So yeah, not that. Right, I think all 4 are possible. I am a rebel human. A lying android can say that. I am a rebel android. A rebel human can say that. So they must all be possible, surely. Okay. Which type of being could claim I am a rebel android? So a rebel human. In a minute, maybe all of them. All of them can, yeah. Loyal androids lie, since that's how robots have been programmed. Yeah, that's basically telling me that all of them can. Marv comes across 3 beings who look like they might be rebels, but he wants to be sure, so he listens for clues. If these 3 are rebels, as you suspect, what are their identities? Right, Hadil is a loyal android. Right. Okay, where do I start? Do I start with the rebel or do I start with the loyal? Let's start with the rebel. So Grace is a rebel human. So let's assume that that is true, as they are a rebel. So let's put rebel human there, and for them to say that, they would have to be a rebel human themselves. Is that correct? So no, that's not correct. Grace is a rebel human, so they would have to be a loyal human to say that. So they would have to be a rebel. Inamen, no, this is impossible. Inamen, it can't be impossible. So this one must be impossible. Grace is a rebel human. So a rebel android would tell the truth. So yeah, Grace is a rebel human. Yeah, this is possible. Right, Hadil is a loyal android. Now, if they are a rebel human, they're going to lie. So that means that Hadil is not a loyal android. So they would have to be a rebel. That's good. Well, not necessarily a rebel, but we're hoping that they're rebels. So for this one, for Hadil to be correct, Isaac is a loyal human. So Isaac's not a loyal human. So they would have to be lying, so they would have to be a rebel human. I think. Nice. Good start. Okay, it's possible that these 3 are all rebels, but let's see whether they could all be loyal. Excuse me. Let's see if they could all be loyal to the robots instead. Okay. Okay, loyal to the robots. Why would they not have all of these highlighted? Right, see whether it's possible that all three beings are loyal. Right, loyal to the robots and loyal androids are probably two separate meanings then. Right, so Hadil is a loyal android. So let's say they're a loyal human. That would mean that Hadil is a loyal android. Isaac is a loyal human. That would have to be a lie, because an android that's loyal lies. So that means that they would have to be an android. Grace is a rebel human, which is a lie, which is correct. So yeah, happy days. Oh, that's a great start. Marv can't be sure that this is a group of rebels. Okay. Marv encounters two beings who each make two statements. We're both rebels, we're both humans. We're not both rebels, we're not both humans. Okay. Find one possible set of identities for these beings. Remember that if a being is lying, then both of their statements are false. Okay, remember that if a being is lying, both of their statements are false. Okay. Right, so find a possible set of identities. So let's go for this combination first. So a loyal human is telling the truth. We're both rebels. Well, that can't be right then, because a loyal human won't say that. So a loyal android would. We're both rebels. That's a lie. We're both humans. That's a lie. So she can be a loyal android. So we're not both rebels. We're not both humans. So a loyal human, we're not both rebels. True. We're not both human. True. So all of these are correct. Ha ha ha! Happy days. There are two solutions for the last puzzle. One in which Faya is a loyal human, and another in which she's a rebel android. In both of these cases, Emma is a loyal android, so Marv can't trust her. Marv sees three more beings. Maybe this group has maybe this group has someone who he can know for sure is a rebel. Right, Marv sees three more beings. Maybe this group has someone who he can know for sure is a rebel. If at least one being is telling the truth, which of them must be a rebel? If at least one being is telling the truth, which of them must be a rebel? Oh god, I'm gonna need some paper and pen for this. Right, if one being is telling the truth, so if Badal is telling the truth, then he can either be a rebel android or a loyal human. None of us are loyal. If he's a loyal human, he can't say none of us are loyal, so he has to be a rebel android. So if he's a rebel android, he's telling the truth. And none of us are loyal means that all of them have to be rebels. So we are all human. So a rebel android in a min. Let's think this through. We are all humans. So if we know that he's an android, a rebel android would tell the truth. And that can't be the truth, so it'd have to be a rebel human. Okay, we are all androids. A rebel. Right. So we are all androids. So can I identify? Has to be a rebel human because it's lying. Right. If at least one being is telling the truth, which of them must be a rebel? Well, if Badal is telling the truth, they're all rebels. Okay. So if Badal is telling the truth, they are all rebels. So let's say Badal is lying then, and that it's Karal telling the truth. So she would have to be a loyal. Right, so if at least one being is telling the truth, which of them must be a rebel? If Karal is telling the truth, she can't be a rebel. So I don't even think we need to carry this on because it's impossible for her to be a rebel android and say we are all humans. So I think we can just skip Karal. So let's go on to Dina. We are all we are all androids. So for them to say we are all androids, to tell the truth, they would need to be an android and a rebel. And if they are telling the truth, then all of them have to be androids, which means we are all humans has to be a lie, so that has to be a loyal android. And then none of us are loyal, has to be an android. None of us are loyal. It has to be true, because it's a lie, because Dina's a rebel. So if at least one being is telling the truth, which of them must be a rebel? So it must be Dina then. Because neither of these can be a rebel if Dina's telling the truth. So Dina. Nice. Right, Marv has finally found someone who he knows is a rebel, Dina. Before Marv speaks to her, though, she escapes. Marv needs a faster way to identify rebels. He needs to get more creative with his questions. He comes across a being and asks them, "Are you a rebel?" They answer yes. Then he asks them, "Are you human?" They also answer yes. What is the being's type? Right, pen and paper time. So, are you a rebel? If they are human, if they are a loyal human, then they would say no. So they can't be a loyal human. If they are a rebel human, they would lie and say no. So they can't be human. Excuse me. So they have to be an android. Okay, then he asks them, "Are you human?" If they also say yes. So they have to be a lying android, so that's a loyal android. That's the only possible answer. Okay, Marv needs a question that will help him be certain that someone is a rebel. In other words, he needs to ask a question that a rebel and a loyal would always answer differently. So, are you a rebel? If you ask a human rebel, "Are you a rebel?" then they're going to say no, because they're going to lie. And if you ask a loyal human, "Are you a rebel?" they're also going to say no, because it's true. So asking a human, "Are you a rebel?" is going to get 2 no's. So it can't be that. So it must be, "Are you an android?" Let's just double check. So are you an android? If you ask a human, "Are you an android?" if they're loyal, they'll say no. If they're a rebel, they'll say yes. So Yeah, are you an android is the answer. Right, Marv knows that a loyal human or a loyal android would never say I am an android. However, rebel humans and rebel androids will both make that claim, so it's a useful way to identify them. Okay. So you can identify a rebel by asking if they're an android. Yeah, we've already established that. That's just going over what we've already said. Now he's got to figure out whether this rebel is an android or a human. What can you ask to find out if Esther is a truth-telling rebel? Right, are you an android? Now, if they're telling the truth, they'll say yes. If they're lying, then they'll also say yes, so that's not going to help. Do you tell the truth? What can you ask to find out if Esther is a truth-telling rebel? Do you tell the truth? That's the same as... Right. Wait a second here. This is confusing me. Right, if I asked you if you were an android, what would you say? Right, if I asked you if you were an android, what would you say? So, asking someone, are you an android, they would always say yes. If they are a rebel human or rebel android. So to find out if they're a truth-telling rebel, we need to identify if they're a rebel android or a rebel human. A rebel human will always lie, a rebel android will always tell the truth. So asking them if they're an android will determine if they're a rebel or not. Then we need to ask them. If we say if you asked, then they will, if they're a liar, then they will change their answer. If they're a truth-telling android, a loyal android, or no, in a minute. Wait 1 second. This is rebel human and rebel android, so they'll both change their answer. So if I say if I asked you if you were a rebel android won't lie. Because they're meant to lie, so a rebel android will tell the truth. So if you ask them if they are an android, then he'll tell the truth. He'll say the same answer whether you ask if you're an android or if you ask if you're... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this one. Because the rebel android will tell the truth, he won't change his answer. So adding this particular part onto the question will determine if they're a truth-telling android or a lying human. I think. Oh, happy days. Right, Esther answers the question. If I asked you if you were an android, what would you say with yes? Right, let's read that again. Esther answers the question. If I asked you if you were an android, what would you say? With yes. What? Esther answers the question, blah, 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 with yes. Okay, I'm reading it properly now. I've read too much. My brain is completely scrambled. Finally, not only a rebel, but one that will always tell the truth. A rebel android will always tell the truth. So it's an easy way to find out if they're a rebel, and an easy way to find out if they're telling the truth. Marv will be able to learn about the rebellion, bring it to an end, and prove once and for all that robots can run the theme park as well as humans. Are we done? Evil Core HQ is very pleased with Marv. Everything is proceeding according to plan. I don't believe we've finished the course. That's incredible. Right, okay. We've finished the course. So we're going to call it an end to the episode, and then I'll have a think about whether I want to do another logic course, or maybe try one of the other ones. There might be some interesting ones on there, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, I haven't decided, but anyway, let me know if there's something you want me to check out. So I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers for watching, take care, and I shall see you soon.